because age 24, when I came into Ayala, I was given a job. When I arrived, I was a clerk. I was a clerk. I took papers from one to another. I would attend banco meetings. I took notes. Okay, special. I was there. I've been in one little corner with the lawyers that were to attend. I was just taking notes, doing minutes. They put me at the training section of the insurance companies. That was my launch. That was really where I started being just one of the boys. The original Makati was built on a 25-year plan, which I didn't start. I took advantage of the things that were given to me, and I managed them, thankfully, properly. At the time, I think it was the trend to make everybody a generalist. They kept shifting people from one position to another because they wanted them well-rounded. I changed that completely, dramatically. I said, no, each one is going to be responsible for their jobs. But I've always been a consensus builder. I like to talk to people. Even in my art, I like to reach out. I trusted the people I appointed, and although I was closely following what they were doing, they were very talented and very supportive. And we started off in a new era, so everybody was kind of gung-ho. It was the new dawn. The death of Ninoy was crucial in our decision to go out in the streets. Ayala has always been apolitical. But this was a time when you knew that you had to be political. There was no other way. Somehow the Filipino was united, and they were working for a cause. And therefore, in that kind of an environment, it's good to work there. It was a new leaf. It was a golden period in the Philippine environment, but not. I so happened to be there.
My father was very instrumental in marking that transition at the key moment in the economic history of the country, and we're believers in empowering people, getting the very best executives, giving them ownership in companies as well as, and aligning their interests as well to the owners. And so we act in unison as a team of peers.
They came from Harvard, very well read and very well trained, but they had to prove their worth. Well, it was a bit of a challenge because they were always up against the ante. They didn't want to work in Ayala.
Oh, really?
They didn't want to work. I kept telling my wife, I've given them too much independence. I think I'm losing them. And so I called them back and I said, look, come back for a year. Choose your field. Find out what Ayala is all about. Not as leaders, but as line people. And if you find it exciting and you think that you would like to spend your time, you're more than welcome because I'm alone here. They never left. I could have extended from 60 to 70 or whatever it was, but I said, no, 60 is a good time. The two boys at the time were already assuming areas of responsibility. They had to be recognized and accepted by their superiors. Jaime's brought his own style, Fernando's brought his own style, and I don't interfere with that. As chairman, I was there more for guidelines.
He knew who to trust and then listen very carefully. He's a person that you can communicate very, very easily to. He's just extremely good with people.
He'll say, what is your idea? How would you like to implement it? You say this and that, and then he says, well, okay, I trust you. With that trust comes a greater sense of commitment in many ways because it's all on your shoulders. You know that he's there to give you support if you need it, but you really want to come through based on that trust.
I don't take credit for the things they do, but they value my opinion and I value theirs. And it's a strong relationship. I do take credit for the fact that I never waver from my concept. If a person has talent, give them the opportunity. And I did that with my two children, with reservations, of course, because I was their father. So I put them under tutors that I knew would develop them. The philosophy is simply do it right, do it well. Is it just? Is it innovative? Is it challenging? Because we want to live by those standards, by our principles. This was something that was really passed on from generations. No? When people say, are you an artist, are you a businessman? I say, I was both. You can find so many beautiful things in nature. That's where you see God's creation. When I go out walking on my own with a camera, I kind of relate to nature, and in relating to nature, I relate to God.
He's very much a Renaissance man in that sense. You know, interaction and decision-making becomes far more interesting than kind of a single-minded view of how situations evolve.
To go through life and find out that you're an old man and that you have not been able to expand in things that are not necessarily business, but that they enrich your mind, I find that that's part of life. Why do you write? Why do you dive? Why do you like mountaineering? I think it's part of one's life, and you do it with a passion. There is something in the Filipino that is refreshing. I mean, cross the street in the most difficult place at the most difficult time, and you will see two people crossing and laughing. That they have a time to laugh, even if you know that when they go home, they probably are going to live in a shanty. And then still, they have it in them that they are happy, even if they are not.
You learn from, I guess, the example that he sets and the way that he behaves as an individual. Where you have difficult choices in a country like ours, his advice was do what you think is right. And again, just let the decision flow from there. And if you do what's right, generally the pieces will fall into place afterwards.
You try and help wherever you can, and you don't want to be a dole giver, you know, that doesn't build anything. To understand the human condition, to know that we are privileged, that we have to reach out. That is part of our corporate social responsibility.
As a company, always prided ourselves in being able to reinvent ourselves in key moments in our history. We look at our 170-year history. You know, the Ayala that started back in the 1800s was very different to the Ayala of today.
So there was always a sense that things had to be nurtured, given time, and that's how you would get the greatest value and the greatest trust built in the particular business and the stakeholders.
That ability to think long-term was precisely due to my father's style. He likes to buy into a vision, and he likes to buy into a long-term goal. And he stays actually quite focused on that long-term goal rather than the short-term. And so, in a way, he's been quite instrumental in our keeping that long-term horizon at the forefront of our decision.
If we are successful, it's because people trust us. They buy a car and they know that the car works. They buy a piece of land and they know that land will appreciate. Trust, most important thing in the world.
Probably the strongest and most valuable legacy that we've received is really the amount of trust that stakeholders have in the brand and in the company. He's constantly reminding us of how difficult it is to build and how easy it is to break. And so for him, the behavior of the company, the managers, the way we handle partners, the way we handle our employees, the way we handle any other stakeholders has been a very, very important legacy.
That single-minded focus he's always had on those issues is something that certainly has permeated the way both Fernando and I do business and very much molded us as individuals.
We are who we are because of the people that help us build. My greatest joy is to see people happy, enjoying the products that we offer them. they know we do a good job and that we stand by our product. I think that's the most important thing. People have confidence in us. The Ayala of today is not the legacy of one man. It's not my place to claim that. It is, however, the legacy of one family. And by family, I mean the extended family of stakeholders that stand with the company. You are all part of that Ayala, and without your trust and support over the years, we would not have succeeded. The story of Ayala will continue. The faces may change, but our vision will endure and our commitment to our stakeholders will never waver.